Hello everyone. We're looking at our module software online, which is the Mindsight module software. So what you'll need to do first is you'll need to navigate to clark.labvoltelearning.com to access our website here. Next, you'll need to click the log on button, which will take you to the log on screen. You'll need to use the username and password that we got in class, and you'll need to type that in, and your password will be the one that you made up in class. So once we have that information, we'll click log in and we'll get to the main menu. So the first thing that we'll need to worry about is if you're working at home, you're going to need the proper software in order to run the menu on the computer. So you'll need to go to the downloads button here. And the main piece of software that you're going to need is the Silverlight 4.0. That one you probably don't have installed on your computer. It's an optional download when you do Windows updates or other things to your computer. So you're going to need to open up that file here. So we're going to click the Silverlight and we'll save this to our computer, and pick a space on your computer to save this, which then you'll need to go to and run that piece of software and install it on the computer. So I already have it installed, so I'm not going to save it and install it, but that's what you'll need to do. So once you have saved it and installed the software, then you'll need to exit out of your browser, which should be Internet Explorer or Firefox, because Chrome doesn't work with the Silverlight software. So you should already have the Net 4.0 installed on your computer. If you need it, then it's there, but you should probably need to download the Silverlight, if anything. So once you have that installed, you can open up your browser again, and you can go back to the clark.labvoltelearning.com, and then you'll be able to use our software properly online. So I'm going to go back to the main menu, and I'm going to talk about a few things here on the main menu before we go into other things. So my screen looks a little different than yours, but what you'll need to worry about on this main menu is the profile. And the profile has the list of the modules that we have available here in class. And the first one that we're working on is the Introduction to Technology. Then the others are going to be ones that you'll choose from later. So I'm going to click on this Intro to Technology module. And what you'll be able to do on this screen is you'll be able to see the notes that you have taken on the computer. So you have the ability to take notes and it will save it to the computer. And you'll also be able to view your grades on the modules that you're working on. So let's take a look at those. So if we click the grades button, what's going to come up is a page or two that will show us our current grades. And what we want to look for here is underneath where it says section title, it's going to have some different things listed here, like unit test or exercise. Those items are things that you'll get graded on. So you'll want a score for each one of those items. So as we can see here, this unit test has a grade of 40%. So the unit tests, those when done correctly, should all be 100% because those you can retake. We'll look at that later. Then the exercise questions, you'll have one chance to get those correct. So if you don't answer them all correctly, you may get something less than 100%. So the important thing here is to make sure that you have a score for everything, that you didn't skip anything, because then that equals a 0%. So you can look through this in each lesson. There's going to be an exercise and a unit test. Sometimes there might not be an exercise grade, but there will always be a unit test at the end. So you'll want to double check this after you finish each lesson that you're working on. So there may be more than one page, so you'll want to scroll down and see what that second page has on it. So as we're working, we're going to see things getting filled up here, and things will say completed, and then there'll be a grade next to those items. So only the things that say exercise or unit test that's asking for here will need a score next to it. So we're going to go back and we're going to look at our notes. So to see the notes for a module, you're going to click on that module and then click that black notebook. And what it's going to ask you to do is it's asking you to open up this special file called a PDF file. And what we want is we want to open it up with Adobe Acrobat. So if you're at home working on this, you'll need that installed. That is a free piece of software that you can install on your computer. You just can search for that on Google, and you'll be able to find that piece of software and use this file. So we're going to go ahead and open it and click OK. And we're going to open it. And what's going to come up is right now, a blank page because we haven't written any notes. And what you'll see here is any notes that we type for things that we want to take note of, important piece of information, will appear here. So we will be taking notes on our module, and you'll be able to access all your notes, all in one place by opening up this file. So we're going to go ahead and close out of that for now because there's nothing on that screen. And I'm going to go ahead and go to My Content. So by clicking on My Content, you're going to get this menu that's going to want to come up. So this Activate Silverlight, you'll need to click that to get this menu to work. So if you have Silverlight installed, like I said before, you'll have that option. If not, it's going to have some screen come up and say you need to download Silverlight and make it work. So this is what runs this menu here. So we're going to go to our 6th grade modules, and we're going to go ahead and go to the Introduction to Technology. So if you're joining us later, you may be working on one of these others, but at the beginning here, this is the first one we're going to work on, so that's the one I'm going to choose. So I'm going to go to that, and the first thing that you're going to be asked to do is this pretest here. So basically, we're working in order from top to bottom, and the very last thing you're going to be working on and doing is this test, this Introduction to Technology test. So there's several lessons that you'll go through. In this case, there's 5 lessons in the Intro to Technology module, and the reason I know that is because there's a little arrow next to each one of these. That's a lesson that we'll be working on. In class, you'll see a plus or minus sign next to those. So it just looks a little different, but it works the same. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take a pretest, which is a 25-question multiple choice test of random questions that are chosen from a pool of 50 questions. So you're going to see half of them on the test. The test is multiple choice. It is not for a grade that will be in RDS. It's just here to see what you know. So you'll go through the test by clicking A, B, C, or D, and you can click continue or you can click next. Either way will take you to the next question. So you'll read the question, try your best to answer them. You should take no more than probably 10 minutes to do this test. You're just seeing what you know. So if you don't know something, you're not sure, take your best guess. So I'm just putting in A as my answers here to get through it. Once you get done with the test, you will click Finish to finish the test. If you're in the middle of the test and you aren't finished, then you can suspend the test to save your current progress and exit out. So if you're in the middle of the test and you have to go do something, you have to leave, then you can click that suspend test and you can continue later on it. So right now I finished the test, so I'm going to click Finish, and it's going to ask and make sure that if I continue, any unfinished questions will receive 0 credit. Okay, and then it says I have not completed the test, so I'm going to go back here and see what happens. So probably didn't finish it. There's probably a question I didn't answer, but it will give you a score. So I'm not going to redo it. It'll give you a score out of 100%. So if there's 25 questions, then each question is going to be worth 4 percentage points. So if you get a 96%, that means you missed one question. So once you finish that, then it's going to take you into the next section, which is course introduction. And you'll need to click on these white arrows to navigate through these different pages, which you'll see in the bottom left corner, page 1 of 4, and you'll need to click through those. On the internet version that we're seeing here, you're not going to be able to use the narrator, but in class you'll be able to have what's on the screen narrated or read to you. So if you click that button, it will narrate through the headphones. At the top of the screen here, there's also the student notes. We'll take a look at that, and that's a little notebook that you'll be able to save some notes that might be important later. So the first and most important thing is to read everything. So again, the narrator's there to help you read along if you choose to. You don't need to use the narrator, but it's there for you to use. So we're going to click the next page and go to the next area here. There's going to be some words that are going to be blue color. Those words that are blue you can click on. And there's going to be some sort of picture that may come up, a video, and as you may or may not have heard through the speaker, there was a narrator talking about that picture. And so you may hear some sounds, you may hear some people talking, some different things going on, maybe a video popping up when you click those words. Sometimes there might be just a definition. So it just depends on what you're clicking on. So these, I think, are all pictures with some sort of narration. So as you go through, you'll want to make sure you read everything and click those blue words because they may have a video on how to do something or additional information, definition for a word. So you'll be reading and watching some videos at some point by clicking those blue words. So as we go through here, uh, we'll go through all four of these screens, and then we can click on either over here on the menu, we can go to the next item, which is the course introduction video, or we can click one of these two white buttons at the top to go to the next section. So I'm going to use the arrows because then I don't skip anything. So the video is going to take you through, talk about what this course and what you're going to be doing, and so you'll watch that. It's a very short video, not even a minute long. So we'll continue on. You may get a page that's talking about the equipment and supplies. That page just tells you what you're going to need for that module station. You don't need to get it at that time. It'll tell you when you need to get that. That's just to make sure you have those things, which you don't need to worry about. So once we have gone far enough, then we're going to start with our first actual lesson, which in this case is Technology Today. So as you work through the module, you're going to be going through these different sections of Technology Today. And so all these items over here on our menu are all parts of Technology Today. So it's sort of like a book. We have a chapter and we have sections of a chapter. Well, in this case, our chapter is Technology Today, and our different sections are these items over here on the left. So we're going to go through these different sections, and we're going to do our reading. You're going to have notes that you're going to take on our intro module. You'll have a packet, some questions that you'll answer, and some activity questions that you'll answer. And then on your choice modules, you'll be taking notes here right on the computer using your student notes button. And so we'll look at that here in a moment. So you may see notes that appear on the screen that show you different important things that I've added. So you'll want to make sure you take note of any of these bubbles or boxes outside of the regular text that we see here. So we'll continue forward here. And so when you're working, if you're working on a module and you've been told to take notes on the computer, you need to access the student notes button. And the proper way to take your notes is to type in and number your notes. So like note number 1, or you could just put number 1, and you can move this screen around. And you'll need to type in some sort of note that would be important for later to remember. So notes can be used on your tests. That's there for you to access. So the more stuff you put, the more stuff you have to use on your test, because you can't go back in the lesson when you take your final test to look up something. So the more notes, the better notes you take, the better off you are. So we can click on stuff and we can then type in different notes. So I'm typing in just what SCORM means. So it's an acronym, and I'm typing out what that means. And so as I type, I want to take notes, and I don't want to put a space in between the lines. So I want to make sure that there's just note 1, type what I want, note 2, type what I want, but I don't want to put a space like this. For whatever reason, doesn't like that, won't save your work. So we want to make sure that we don't put spaces. So as you're taking your notes, you'll want to be mindful of what you're putting, because again, you can use this on your test. When you're finished taking notes on that screen, you'll want to click the close button right here, not the X button. So click close, and then it should save your work. So you can go back, you can check, make sure that it's saved, and yes it is, it's still here. But when we go to the next section over here, and I click on that notebook, you're going to notice it's blank. That's because it gives you a fresh page when you go to a new section. So if we go back to educational technology where we were typing, our notes are still there. They're just in a different section. So it breaks your notes into sections so that it makes it a little easier to manage instead of seeing all these different notes on one page. Sort of like taking notes in a notebook. You want to use a different page for different things you're taking notes on. So as you go through, you're going to come across some different activities, and in this case, you're going to come across the timeline activity. And the timeline activity is going to have you put events in order, and there's a timeline here that you can use to help get those events in order. So the timeline is going to give you more events than what are necessary. So there might be 30 events here, when on our other timeline activity there's only going to be maybe 10 events. So they give you more than they need. So we can put these in order, and so as we move things around, things may change into X's, and some may change into the checks. We want to work until we get them all checked off with a green check mark. So you just have to click and drag, and you can move events in and out of order. So as you can see, those change. You have unlimited tries though, so don't need to worry about doing bad, because there's unlimited number of chances here. So we're moving on. Eventually you'll get to a unit test. And the unit test, you have one try to get correct. Actually, no. The unit test, you have unlimited numbers to get correct. So if you get a poor score, like I already took this test and I already have a score for it of 40%, you can retake it. So you'll go through the test once, and you'll be able to then review your answers. So there'll be a button down here after you finish your test that will say review. You'll be able to see which ones you missed, which ones you got right, and then you'll be able to retake it. You want to retake it until you get 100%. So right now I got a 40%, so I'd want to retake it. Get 100%, easy points. So that comes at the end of a lesson, the unit tests. The other thing that you're going to come across are these exercise questions. So I'm skipping ahead to this next lesson to show you the exercise questions, because as you're working through, you're going to come across these multiple choice, maybe true, false. There's different questions that you'll need to answer, and those you get one try. So if I go in and I click on it, I get credit the first try. If I click on it and I get the wrong answer, then I lose credit. So I want to make sure I do just like I did, and I answer those correctly the first try. So so we want to click on the right answer the first try. So again, if I see this, I just lost credit. In order to move ahead, I have to put the right answer, but the first try is what counts. So you want to make sure you get the right answer on the first try. So be mindful of what you're clicking on. If you need to go back and look up the answer, you can. So those are exercise questions you'll come across. And then if you're working on a choice module, you'll also come across some activities that you'll see in the lessons that'll tell you to get out a activity guide, and those you'll need to get out the white binder that's in a box in the classroom and follow the directions in it to do an activity. This intro module doesn't have binders, so I can't show you that, but in your choice modules you'll have that. So you're going to work through each one of these lessons. You're going to have notes you're going to take. You're going to have videos you're going to watch. You're going to have reading, different things to do, and we're going to do one lesson each day. So this will take about 5 or 6 days, depending on what's going on. And then at the end, after we're finished and we do everything that we need to do, which is take our notes, do the activity worksheets. If you're working on the intro module, there's going to be some stuff you're going to fill out for that. Answer all the questions, the exercise questions, the unit test, and then at the end, after you've done all that work, then you're going to do the final test, which is what you'll need your notes for. So you'll be able to open up your notes before going into the test. So we can go back and we can go into our profile and we can go and find our notes here, and we can go and click that, click our notebook, and open up our notes, and we can access those. And as you can see, the few things I typed are here. So those are things I would be able to use on our test. So I would actually be able to pull this over on one side of the screen, and I can put my other item here on the other side of the screen, and I can actually do side by side, and I can take the test while I have my notes up. So I can put one on one side, one on the other, and take the test and look at my notes all at the same time. So this one counts for a grade, so you'll want to make sure that you do well, pay attention, don't be distracted, have your notes up, so then you're able to do the best that you can. So if you have any questions, please ask your instructor. If this is a parent viewing this video, you can email this class's instructor. So I'll have that information here below the video, so you're able to access that information and ask any questions if need be. So hopefully this video shows you basics of everything that you'll need to see to use this software. So just make sure that if you're accessing this online, you install that piece of software there, the Silverlight software, before we do any of this, or else nothing's going to work.